Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to have a little bit of a look at Terastal Festival. You see, this set is coming out on Friday. It's a very big deal. This is, honestly, it's the big Scarlet and Violet set so far. And I've been bringing you all the news as we go. Every time there's a bit of news coming around, I share it with you. Assuming no other news comes and pushes this video out of the slot I've currently assigned it, it's coming just after I showed you the Palafin this morning by the Fist of the North Star artist, which is bizarre but awesome and I love it. But what we need to do, with the set just a couple of days away, is actually look at everything we need to know, have a good old Terastal Festival primer. We'll worry about Prismatic Evolutions later. That's probably coming at the end of the weekend, where I tell you how the sets are going to be different. For now, we are focused purely on the Japanese set Terastal Festival, and I am telling you everything you need to know about what is probably going to be a monster of a set. Now, in terms of the set list generally, the general set list, we have this now. The full set list was revealed last Friday, so we know what's going on. We also know that the number of new cards is very few and far between. We'll talk about the EVs in a moment, but outside the EVs, we've got this hoot that you can't put to sleep. We've got Larry's Professionalism, which lets you discard your entire hand and then search your deck for a Pokemon, a supporter, and a basic energy. We've got Amaris, which is a new supporter card that lets you draw 4 cards, but if you've got 5 or more cards in your hand at the end of your turn, you have to discard your entire hand. We've got Paude and Friends that lets you draw 3 cards. And then we've got one of the new berries. It's a dragon one this time, and that's it. Outside of the Eeveelutions, which we'll get to in a minute, that's the new set. That is everything that we've got here. There aren't many new cards. And to be fair, a couple of them are pretty good. Most of the new cards are in the Eeveelution genre, but it's because it's largely a reprint set. Oh, and actually there were 2 new A-Specs as well, weren't there? Forgot about the new A-Specs. The A-Specs, remember, are 1 per box like normal. There's 8 in total, but 2 of them are actually brand new. And we've got ourselves Max Rod, which is the one whereby you can take 5 Pokemon of basic energy from a discard pile into your hand, or Treasure Hunting Gadget, which just lets you search a deck for 5 Pokemon tools. They are potentially very interesting cards. Actually, I almost forgot, there's a new Regigigas as well. I love this new Regigigas. It is genuinely awesome. It's a basic Pokemon, 4 colorless energy, 100 damage, but against a Terastal Pokemon, it does 330. In any deck that can accelerate energy easily, this is just a great anti-Terra Pokemon tech. And actually, to be fair, there is also a Seaking, which has the Festival Lead ability, whereby you can attack twice, and it's got an attack for a single energy that does 60 and draws 2. So look, there are some new cards around there, and some that might make a little bit of an impact. But just to be clear, it is very much a reprint set. And that comes in a couple different ways. First of all, it's an excuse for Japan to, well, catch up, basically. Because over the year, remember these are end of year sets, we get 1 a year. Shiny Treasures EX was the one we got last year. And over the course of the year, we get a bunch of cards that Japan doesn't get. And this is Japan's opportunity to essentially catch up with our promos. So things like the Blood Moon Ursaluna that we got as an EX box promo, the Iron Valiant that we got as an EX box promo, the Roaring Moon that we got as an EX box promo, as an example. And then ones from tins like this Iron Leaves. Bunch of cards that we've previously had as random promos coming over in Japan. And then we got things like this Teal Mask Ogapon that actually hasn't been released in the West, but it was a promo over in Korea. So yeah, Japan's just catching up on those, and not just EXs. One of the big things they're catching up with here is pre-release promos. So you'll notice things like this Iron Bundle started life as a pre-release promo, but then made it over here. We could talk about Koraidon and Miraidon as well, that started life as pre-release promos and Japan's getting them. So when I say it's a reprint set, it is a reprint set, largely. But there are some new cards, and even where set cards are reprinted, there are still quite a few new artworks running around, which I think makes the set a lot more interesting and a lot more desirable, frankly. Although, as we're going to see in a minute, this set doesn't really need much to really get people excited. And then, of course, there are just straight reprints. No mucking about, no silliness, just straight one-for-one reprints. But if you look at the card, I can't go through all of them right now, right? But we got things like Fezandipity EX. That's like a $10 card over in Japan right now. And it's just getting reprinted. It's brilliant. We've got things like Golden Go getting a straight reprint. Things like Dragapult getting a straight reprint. And these are all kind of brilliant here, because every time, things like Noctowl, if you want to go away from EXs, and Rotom, it's just brilliant. There's a lot of very, very good cards that are being reprinted here. So when you open up a pack, you do get a guaranteed EX per pack, but in every pack, you're just going to be opening a whole bunch of playable cards. If you're playing over in Japan or you want to build Japanese decks for whatever reason, a set like this is just absolutely full of just playable cards. And as a little side note, it doesn't really matter. The only difference is in the bottom left-hand corner, the set number and the set symbol are different. They are all from this set, which One Piece didn't do when they had the chance, and I really appreciate that this is doing. So this makes me rather happy indeed. So we got a reprint set then, but a lot of the reprints, they're all good cards or interesting cards. They're not just reprinting random terrible cards. They're reprinting Zoroark here, and Zoroark's not a great card. It's the one that does 60 damage for each Pokemon EX and V, but it's still got a lot of potential, and you never know, it could end up being good in the future. So we got some reprints which are good, and some reprints which have a whole bunch of potential. But then as well as that, every card in the set that is neither an A-Spec nor an EX has a Pokeball Holo version. I told you about this yesterday. I told you how the Eeveelutions, like Umbreon for instance, having a Pokeball Holo version is a pretty big deal. Well, it is, frankly. It is a very big deal. It is going to make the set a lot more sought after, and it's looking awesome. The only downside here, and I do think this is a significant downside, for some reason there's 10 packs per box, and we're only getting 2 Pokeball Holos per box, which is honestly genuinely disappointing here, because it just makes it so much more difficult to actually collect these cards. It's, a little bit awkward, frankly. And there's a change this time round that they are textured, which they never were before. And we do have Master Ball Holos, and they are limited to 1 per box. It seems to be 2 Pokeball, 1 Master Ball per box. So again, it's going to be very difficult to collect all of these, but I do think it's going to be worth it if that's the kind of thing you're into. It's going to be a challenge, but imagine getting a whole set, including special illustration rares, more on that in a minute, with all Pokeball and Master Ball Holos. It's going to take a lot of effort, but you know what? Would be one of the coolest collections you've ever seen. Just putting that one out there. And that's just the main set. The main set as a whole is incredibly exciting to me, but then we've got a lot more. Now, obviously, we've got the Eeveelutions. Now, we do have regular versions of the Eeveelutions, and as I've told you before, the Sylveon is a reprint of the one we've already had. But the other 8 of them are brand new, never-before-released exclusive cards. And some of them have an awful lot of potential. So your Glaceon that gets a one-hit KO on anything with 6 damage counters on. Or your Vaporeon that does 60 damage to each EX that your opponent's got. Or the Umbreon that for free energy lets you discard it all and just flat out take a prize. I really like the aggressiveness of the Jolteon, 2 energy, 60 damage, but you can discard 2 energy basic from your bench Pokemon, doing 90 more for each one discarded. Or the Flareon that for 2 energy does 130 and lets you attach 2 energy from your deck, again basic. They are, and I'm not going to go through all of them in great detail here. We've done that before. Go check out my video where I look at all the Eeveelutions. But my point is, we do have 8 out of 9 of these being brand new, mechanically unique cards. And as I've explained before, I do think we've got a bunch of cards around at the moment that will make these Eeveelutions far more exciting in terms of playability than they may otherwise have been. So we've got a few new cards. We've got a whole suite of Eeveelutions. We've got Pokeball Holos and Master Ball Holos. And then we get to the big part of the set, because we've got special illustration rares. Now, we don't know that the number is 32, but we know for the English set Prismatic Evolutions the number is 32, and it's overwhelmingly likely that that will be the number in Japan. And the thing is, I showed you the Palafin earlier. That and the Dragapult that we've seen so far are kind of unique in that they are the two that never got a special illustration rare initially. They're the first time they've got a special illustration rare. But there's plenty of others, and I showed you all of them in the Palafin video earlier, so go and check that one out. But there's a whole bunch like Golden Go, for instance, or Iron Crown, that did get special illustration rares in their sets first time round, but now they've got new ones, which I think is wonderful. We've got Kieran, now that's the only special illustration rare supporter that we've seen so far, and there's going to be some more of them as well. It's 32 between Pokemon and supporters. We don't know exactly how many there are, but we do know that some are coming, and that's awesome. We know that there are some full art supporters, and again, we don't know for certain, but based on what we know of the English set, we are assuming that there are going to be 12 full art supporters. And these, again, are looking pretty nice. We've got things like Larry and Amaris here that are honestly extremely cool. But then we've also got things like Friends in Paldea, which is a brand new card in the set, gets a full art. And you may notice I told you a minute ago that the 3 new supporter cards in this set are Amaris, Larry's Professionalism, and Friends in Paldea. It's not a coincidence that they are the 3 getting full art supporters here. But then we got a bunch of older cards, including, and I've shown you this one a lot because I think it's ridiculous in the best possible way, we got Eri. We got all of the Team Star captains, but just as they were in school, not as they are now as Team Star captains. And to be fair, that is 8 of the 12 full art supporters I've just shown you. We don't know what the other ones are. We'll have to come back to that one later. And then, of course, we've got the special illustration rare Eeveelutions. Now, we know that all 9 are getting them, and we've seen 7 of them so far. And they're all pretty stylized, they're all pretty cool. We know Umbreon's going to be the biggest and best among them, and this is going to be the thing that really sells the set. New Eeveelutions are great, Pokeball Holos of the Eevees are great, all the reprints are great, the other special illustration rares are great, everything about this set I'm loving, except 2 Pokeball Holos per box. That makes me sad. Should be 9 Pokeball Holos and 1 Master Ball in every box of 10 packs. I feel strongly about this. But these special illustration rare Eeveelutions are going to be the big difference here. That is what is going to turn this from a set that everybody loves into a potentially all-time set. And that's where I'm going with this. If we didn't have the Eeveelutions, the special illustration rares we've seen already would be enough to make this a great set. But we have seen them, and they are coming, and it's just a ridiculous set. Like, they announced it there, I think it was earlier this morning, that they are going to do lottery sales at Pokemon centers over in Japan, and they were inviting people, Pokemon were, to enter into this lottery. It's going to be a set. Every time I see it for sale in the West, people have upped the price of what it was before. It is going to be a pain, but it is going to be one of the absolute best, most sought after Fraser How You Will set we've had in a very long time. No, I couldn't sit here and tell you every single card we've seen so far. That would take ages and get a bit boring, but that is basically your primer for Terastal Festival. It's coming out on Friday, and on Thursday I should be able to show you all of the secret rares. For now, I think I've told you what you need to know about the set, so now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this, tell me what you're excited about, tell me all of your thoughts, feelings, opinions and more in the comment section. Go nuts! be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Evan Parker, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and seems to be a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.